To start with Orange Button, go to our website and click on Sign In. Click on Register and fill in the form. Use your company mail account for registration, and please notice that only the marked fields are required. Don't forget to fill in your VAT information if your company is registered outside of the Netherlands. We will use your company details as a hub to connect more users to your environment. Review your information and complete registration by agreeing to our terms and conditions. We welcome you to your own personal dashboard. To start off your BIM adventure, download our Revit add-in and dataset for Autodesk Revit. Save these files on a secure location on your computer or company network. Remember, before running the installers, make sure that Autodesk Revit is installed on your computer. The Orange Button ribbon should now be visible in Autodesk Revit. Store the Orange Button library on a central location, especially when multiple users will be using Revit. And now you're ready to start your first project. When the software is correctly installed, you can start your first project. Our software can work with Revit and IFC files. In this example, the architectural and structure models are IFC, the rest is Revit. And did you know that IFC is the open standard that everyone uses? These models are easily viewed in free BIM viewers. Working with these design models is the essence of Orange Button BIM. Let's start up Revit and create our own BIM project. Start a new project and select the Orange Button template Revit file as a template. Using a template in Revit will boost your performance and engineering, for instance by filling in the startup form in our template. The template also contains standard views and schedules, such as a standard 3D, floor plan and ceiling plan views. When everything is set and the project is saved, you can start linking the design models. To do this automatically, you can use our Batch Link app. It is as easy as adding the models from the folder, both the Revit and IFC files. After adding these files to the app, press Batch Link and let the app do its magic. We know that BIM is not as evolved in every country. But we also know that if you start asking, there is more BIM than you would expect. Using our BIM software, you will find out that you can quote faster with higher quality, using BIM. After linking the models, you can already view and review the project. But first, let's start by setting up. The first step in setting up a project is to adjust your levels to those of the linked files. Go to the Levels view and change the elevation of your levels. This is possible in the Properties or in the level symbol in the view. Delete any unnecessary levels that are not needed in the project. Note that all linked floor and ceiling plans will also automatically be deleted. Next up, we're going to check if there's any FRP period specified. You can do so by selecting a wall or floor and check the properties for any relevant values. Don't forget to check the type properties. For this model, we cannot find any relevant values, which leaves us with two options. The first one is that we can request updated models with enough information. The second one is that you can specify the FRP values yourself in a separate model. In this example, you can see the second option and how it looks like in a floor plan. The library and templates for creating such a model are available in the Orange Button library download. For more information and how to, check our other videos and wiki page. Finally, we can do some floor plan tweaking by setting linked files in the view template. Try to turn categories on and off, add filters and change the depth settings, resulting in a nice looking floor plan ready for clashing. It is time to start looking for the Firestop clashes using our BIM plugin. Our BIM plugin is connected to your account, so the first step is to log in using your credentials. Did you know that with a freemium account you can have the possibility to clash 5 times for free? For each project you can tweak the project settings for the best results, considering particular situations that occur. In this project we have 2 IFC files, the architectural and the structural model. The downside of IFC files is that the information is always stored in a different location, making it necessary to select each parameter for the values that we need to select an approved Firestop solution. It could be that some values are not available in the IFC file. Those we need to request from our client, or we can manually add the missing information later. Don't forget to save the information in case you need to redo these steps again. The next setting that you can tweak are based on the categories that we are going to check. Every category has its own types that is looked up by using string filters. These types are used to create a structured property set that we can use to select an approved Firestop solution. You can also load and save file settings for different types of projects and languages. For the construction categories, you can choose to check the custom content or the walls and floors from the linked files. The installation categories also have the string filters similar to the construction categories. An overview of the construction and installation types that we look up can be found on our platform. Note that you can always come back later to the project settings to tweak these string filters. Last up, you can select the clash categories that you would like to clash, and select the property that contains the value that makes it fire or, for instance, acoustic rated. Next up is loading all the construction and installation categories into the checklist, and don't forget to save your settings for the next run. As you can see, we've added a loading bar. This is necessary because of bigger projects that can take longer to load, which all results in our checklist. Our checklist is the same way as our project settings. Here you can see if any string filters picked up the correct construction type. If it hasn't found the correct value, it will report an error message, in which case you can select extra properties in the IFC settings, or add extra string filters for the construction and installation categories. It's a good idea to check the different tabs and see if most information is loaded correctly. In this tab you can see that the FRP content is loaded correctly. Also, the mechanical and electrical content is loaded in correctly. The installation models were Revit files, making it easier to find the needed information because it's always stored into the same location. Although sometimes the string filters still need some adjustment to find all the installation types. In this case we could add Uponor to the installation type multilayer. But we can also add this information later and start finding our relative positions. For a perfect clash result, try to get 0 critical issues. After some loading time, the app will present what we call the clash list. This is the list with all the positions that are found using the linked IFC and Revit files. Any missing information for selecting the correct Firestop is marked red. All Firestop positions are also generated as components in Revit, giving you maximum insight on location and information for each individual location. When you zoom in on a couple of clashes and make a selection of them, you can use basic Revit functionalities for better visualization. In this case, we'll use the selection box tool from the Modify ribbon. The information from Orange Button is also visible in the Properties tab. In the next chapter, we are going to further look into checking and changing the results, but first we are going to save this result in a clash list on our computer using the app. Just click on Export JSON and save the JSON file on your project folder. Each export that we create with the Orange Button app can be opened with Excel or can be added to a project in your Orange Button office environment. A great feature about our BIM tool is that you can manually review the Firestop clashes, giving you extra insight in the automatically generated Firestop positions. A nice way to do this is by switching between the floor plans and the 3D view using the selection box button. This way you can view parts of the project. At Orange Button we are always working on improving the clashing process. Based on our experience, our clashing process is already a lot more accurate than basic clashing. Also, we have a clash percentage property that reports the installation going through a structural element. During your check, you can still change visual settings the way you like, for instance, making the installation files more visible. As you review more locations, you will notice that the clashing is quite accurate. And that with just the push of a button. Every time during your clashing, you can use the JSON exporter to check the information quality of the clashes. All the missing information is marked with a red cell and should eventually be addressed for correct Firestop selection. The details are always described in the report property. When you select a rule from this schedule, it will automatically zoom and select a component in the model. A quick way to update information for multiple components is by using schedules. For instance, this construction schedule. When you change a value in a single cell, it will update multiple components, making it possible to finish a list with all required information. When you now open the JSON exporter app again, you will notice that there are now less red cells, meaning that it is now easier to select the correct Firestop solutions. The same goes for the installation and insulation information of the clash. In this example, the installation type for the Uponor installation are missing. As you can see, they can easily be added manually. An interesting topic of this project is that there is no insulation specified for any installation, which would mean that no installation is insulated. When we now go back to the JSON exporter, you will notice that there are no red cells anymore, meaning we are ready for quotation, or we could add extra information using our other OneClick apps. At Orange Button, we've created apps that can run checks and add information to the calculation components. In this video, I will demonstrate a couple of these apps and demonstrate how easy it is. First off, the Aperture app. More and more openings are modeled in the BIM environment as a physical BIM object. Most of the time, these openings are also planned for execution by the general contractor, leaving no space for optimization based on the selected Firestop solution. For instance, if you use a filler, you will need a smaller opening than if you would use a mineral fiberboard solution. You can start the OneClick app from the Orange Button ribbon. Every OneClick app has somewhat the same layout and is easy to use. In this app, you can filter opening components and select them for checking. In this project, the result is an empty list. Conclusion: none of the opening families affect the calculation components. Next up, we are going to check if any of the calculation components are too close to each other. For instance, these two pipes. For this, we are going to use the MSP app, which stands for Multi-Surface Penetration. As you can see, the layout is almost the same as that of the Apertures app. In the MSP app, you see all of the selected components that you could check: the calculation, solution and MSP components. The app checks the distance between two installations, resulting in a list where these two elements are combined. You can run the app with other settings, such as a different distance, to change the result, eventually leading to an MSP component generated around the combined installations. For a correct quote of the project, it is interesting to know the working height of the Firestop solutions. Do you need a ladder, a scaffolding, or a scissor lift? In this app, you can select the floor from the linked files that you work from. Normally, these would be the floors from the structural models. You can also select levels to check those as well. After processing, you can review the results in the app and process them in your BIM. Dividing the project into different segments can help you better plan the project. In this example, I am adding 2 scope boxes to the project. one on the left side of the floor plan, giving it the specific name of the grid layout, and one on the right side of the project, also naming it after the grid layout. In the OneClick Scope app, you can add this location information in the calculation components. First by selecting the relevant scope boxes, and then by checking the scope. The result is presented in the list. We now have added aperture, MSP height and scope information to the calculation components. It is time to number the components so that we can follow them better throughout the design process. You can number each type of component individually and change some of the number settings like the prefix in this example, numbering the MSP values with a prefix. Afterwards, we can also number the calculation components without a prefix and check the results in the list. After clicking on the Process in BIM button, the result is processed in the model. And here we are again, time to export the results. As you can see, the results of the OneClick apps are added to the calculation components, creating an even more valuable list for your quotation. But the JSON list is not the only result that we could export. Generating a clash list with Orange Button could be enough to create a quote for your project. However, it is also possible to create extra output, making the result even more professional. First off, you can create floor plans based on the views that we've created in the model. It is even possible to export multiple views at the same time and combining them into a single file. After setting up, don't forget to save your settings for the next export. And then press Export to create the PDF file. The result is a nice looking floor plan containing all the Firestop positions. Because we numbered the components, they are also relatable to the clash list. Second up, we can also create an IFC file, meeting the open standard that a lot of clients demand. Just hit Export IFC and choose the user-defined property set that is part of the Orange Button library. This way, all of the unique Firestop properties can be added to the export file, making it as valuable as the clash list. Exporting can take some time based on the size of your project. There are a lot of free IFC viewers on the market, which makes it possible for the client to watch your activities in BIM and see that your quote is based on actual design data. They can even combine multiple BIM files themselves, creating a complete picture of the work that needs to be done. So as you can see, Orange Button BIM is capable of creating a complete package, empowering your company by using the information in BIM to your advantage.